we'll get to the Lions of 2024. Maz, yesterday was a scare on the chat.
Oh, man.
It was a scare for Lions fans. Jahmyr Gibbs, Ennis Rakestraw. Maz, take us through it, man. I thought it may have been worse.
Oh, my God. First, we think Jahmyr Gibbs has a knee injury.
Torn ACL.
Then I saw the guy, and I said, I didn't even say anything. I didn't do anything on social media. I looked at the guy. I saw he had 1,000 followers, and I knew he was a fake. So then I'm praying that it was not a bad knee injury. It turned out to be a hamstring injury. The real guys like Adam Schefter and Ian Rappaport and all those guys reported that it is a hamstring. Hamstring's nothing to fool around with. I'm sure Dr. Pierce was on today. Was Dr. Pierce on with the boys today?
No, he was not today.
He wasn't on today? We'll have him on Thursday. We're going to ask him.
Time to talk to him.
We don't know how bad this hamstring injury is, but Bray, a hamstring injury for a guy like Jahmyr Gibbs it's a big injury.
Yeah, hamstring and groin injuries are injuries that confuse fans. And a lot of times you'll see fans say stuff like, man, he only has a hamstring or he only has a groin because you can't really see it. You don't really know. And if you've never had one, then my guys, you don't know what it's about. And also, you'll see sometimes other players have hamstring situations or strains or groins and still play. Offensive linemen, quarterbacks, guys that aren't stretching the field, guys that aren't in and out of breaks, guys that aren't really using explosiveness, so they can do that. Wide receivers, running backs, defensive backs, some linebackers that play at that speed, Fred Warner types, those hamstrings are very important, man. Once you pull one, now the difference is you strain a hamstring, you might be down a couple days, maybe a week, you're taking care. You pull a hamstring, you can be down a couple weeks to a month. Now, if you tear a hamstring off the bone, then season's over.
Yes, sir.
That is a 4-month heal process, but then once you come back, you have to take the process so light. So, good news there, it's not torn off the bone. They just got to monitor it. And I think the Lions have been very good about that, monitoring injuries and getting guys back. We saw that last year, whether it was Amon-Ra St. Brown after 1 week, whether it was David Montgomery, whether it was Frank Ragnow, and they made it happen for him in and out the whole season. So I think the Lions are going to be good there. It is a sigh of relief, though. But he's not the only one that's going down. It just seems like it's that time in training camp for the Detroit Lions, as Pete put up there. Ennis Rakestraw and Terrion Arnold, two of your new secondary members, KG, they go down as well. Is it time for panic in terms of physicality and practice and maybe taking it easy, or is this just a part of the goal? I think it's just a part of practice.
I think it's just a part of the game, man. And unfortunately, it happened to your two rookie corners who you really need for them to get as many reps as they can before the season starts. I think if they shut them down now, I wouldn't necessarily be mad at that. You want to make sure that they do make it to the regular season. But, I mean, it's the preseason. These things happen. It's just unfortunate that the injury bug just keeps continually hitting the Lions over this last week or so.
Yeah,
it's all over. It's like an epidemic in the NFL. And we'll get into the injuries later. But I see a lot of guys getting hurt. And I know it happens all the time. But you're seeing big names starting to get hurt. And I don't know what it is. Is it just bad luck? Is it bad turf? You blame everything. But I just want to put bubble wrap on this entire team because I'm scared out of my wits, because the only thing that's going to stop them this year is the injuries. That's it.
Yep.
No doubt.
Yeah, it's tough. You can't put the bubble wrap on them, as, but it is a thing. It seems like now we have. I was going to say something. I was going to say it seems like because we have more outlets, because you have more news sites, because people have more streaming and ways to get the information out. Back in the day, you kind of only heard about your team. But now that there's so many ways, but I don't know if it's been like this in the last 5 years. Like, you're seeing major injuries throughout the whole 32. It's been an epidemic, man, and that's going to be a question that I don't know if we ever get answered, really.
Well, and to Maz's point, this year just seems like it's all the important names, and especially here in Detroit, we're worried about our secondary. You got Rakestraw and Arnold that had 33 coverage snaps between the two of them and gave up 0 catches for 0 yards. Now, at the same point, we lost C.D. Deuce last year. I don't know why we re-signed Emmanuel Mosley again so he could be hurt again, but this is something that we have dealt with at a lesser extent. To guys that weren't as crucial to our lineup. But at the same point, everybody's eyes in Detroit are on this team. This is the most anticipated season in Detroit sports history. So there's going to be a little extra attention, a little extra worry for all of these things. But I do think that we've dodged a bullet with all of these injuries so far. I think that for the most part, unless we suffer another one over these next couple of weeks, I think everybody will be playing by week 1 or 2.
We talked about they have to sign a quarterback. Remember, they go out and get a quarterback
Yes, sir.
because Hendon Hooker's down this week with the concussion. They can't put him in. So you need someone to back up Nate Sudfeld. And they wind up getting Jake Fromm, former Georgia Bulldog. He's been on a few teams. I think he was on Buffalo last.
Yeah.
He's a backup. That's for sure. He was good in college, but he hasn't turned out to be the pro I thought he was going to be. And well, a lot of teams didn't think he was going to be a good pro either. I think he was like an undrafted free agent or signed really late. Besides that, but that's what they have. That's your backup quarterback now is Jake Fromm.
Yeah, Lions really caring nothing about the backup quarterback position. They've shown you that over the past 4 or 5 years. They're hoping maybe Hendon Hooker becomes that, but they trust in Jared Goff, which leads me to my next question. Isn't it crazy? Like, we go from a team that depth chart at the DB position last year, defensive line last year, not necessarily sure about a wide receiver thin too. Now you have a training camp a year removed where you're getting injuries or you're getting little small nicks and bruises, but you're not feeling any type of way because, one, you know those guys will be back. And then the depth chart is good. There's only one player, if he got hurt, that we would cancel Christmas for, and we don't even need to say his name out loud. Some notable roster moves were made as well, Tom Mazaway.
Yep. Well, they let Antoine Green go. Remember they drafted him late last year, had a couple of decent plays. He got hurt in the Giants game, and they wound up waiving him and a couple of other injured players as well. But Dan Campbell got to speak about the wide receivers, and just what Braylon was saying, the wide receiver depth of the Lions.
What's your confidence level in your wide receiver depth right now?
Yeah, it's still the same as where it's at. We're waiting for somebody to step forward. You know, we're waiting for any one of those guys to step forward. You know, DPJ, I felt like has been since the game much better. Man, he's playing faster, and I notice it. You know, we all notice it. So that's encouraging. But you know, Fountain and Traquan and Caden Davis, like we're dying for somebody to step up and say, hey, man, I'm the guy. You know, I'm the guy you can depend on. I'll be the same consistent player every day. Find a way to make the plays that come my way.
They're waiting for somebody. And what he said about Donovan Peoples-Jones, hey, he's doing good since the game. So he did not have a good game against the Giants. I don't think he had one target, maybe 2 targets.
He had a couple targets. I think
he had a catch for one for 26
he,
yards.
He had a chance to get a touchdown in the red zone. I think he dropped it or just couldn't make a play on it.
So it's kind of what Dan Campbell just said in those words. And the names he has said, Traquan and Fountain, and there was another name he threw out there. I don't know if any of those guys are going to step up and make this team. Maybe your other receiver that you're looking for is not on your roster right now.
Now they said that they were waiting for somebody, right?
Yeah.
I mean, all I heard is they're waiting for this guy right here. Let's go, man. You run that 3 wide out spot for them all day long, man. Look at you.
The only thing I got coming for them is Madden 25. But,
I hear you.
One, need my back, my shoulder. See, this is called an aesthetic. You take a look, okay, you look like he still can play, but when you break it down, it's broken down.
You're not trying to take any hits?
Nah. I'm cool on that.
All right.
But I think Dan Campbell believes in the guys that are going to step up for this team, and I believe the way in which their offense works. They're a team that doesn't necessarily fully rely on a full wide receiver staff. Like you had Jamison Williams, you have Amon-Ra St. Brown, you got Khalif Raymond. Then from there, you're using Jahmyr Gibbs. We know he has a hamstring, but you're using him a lot out of the backfield. Using Sam Laporta as a tight end. Brock Wright has plays. So they're a type of offense under Ben Johnson, Maz, where they're not necessarily receiver-heavy based.
Right.
So they can move around it if they don't have guys that eventually step up.
Well, Jahmyr Gibbs is a wide receiver
100%.
/ running back. And our guy, Simone Vaki.
Yeah.
Simone Vaki might be the guy. He might be able to show and let
Anson's guy.
them rest Jahmyr Gibbs until he's 1,000,000% ready to play on this game. And I would not rush that guy back, not one iota. And I hope a guy like Vaki steps up. This gives Craig Reynolds, come on, Craig. It gives him a chance to get back in the game. They got other guys. They got Zonovan Knight, who I like from the Jets. They got backs. So let's take it easy right now with Jameer. Take the next 2-3 weeks. Take the next 3 weeks off completely. Just let him work on his own, heal up. We really don't even know the extent of that hamstring injury yet. They don't say anything, and they haven't talked yet today. When we find out, we'll let you know. When we come back from the break, we'll talk about the defense.
Yeah, we'll talk about the break. Before we go to the break, though, Maz, I'll make this quick. Do they just need to do away with preseason altogether and start the season
Well,
early?
he got hurt in practice, right?
True, 100%. But I'm just thinking about J.J. McCarthy. I'm thinking about other players that were hurt, that are injured. I'm thinking about a couple years now that we've seen a lot of major players getting injured in the preseason, these first 3 games, which now the NFL has. Is it almost time? Because you got – it's a 50-50 battle with coaches. Are they going to play their players or not? 50% of them are. 50% of them aren't.
I think it's 80-20 against.
So what do we do? One preseason game
Right.
and get this baby going?
I know, but the preseason is for the guys that try to make this team, the undrafted free agents or the late round picks. That's their time. But if players are getting hurt in practice, I don't think it matters if there's a game or not. I really don't.
Well, we haven't really seen catastrophic injuries. We've seen a lot of nicks and dings and stuff. Do you want to see that in week 1 and week 2 where you miss 3 or 4 weeks because you've got a little bit of a hammy? You obviously get your opportunity to see who you have and who's going to make the team. But you give these guys an opportunity after a whole offseason to get that feeling for getting hit again, to get over some bumps and bruises. I think that getting away with the preseason entirely, maybe 1 or 2 games, I think you have to have some games to get the guys acclimated to that contact, to let them overcome some of these surface injuries. Because if this happens in week 1 with Jameer, we might not see him for a month. Now, as it is,
Cost you 3 games.
Yeah, I don't think that maybe we don't see him week 1. I think we probably do. But at the worst, we're going to see him in 3 weeks.
If you remember last year, they didn't use him basically for the first 3-4 games
That's right.
anyway, just in spot duty, and they did well. So if they want to do that again and we can win and beat the Rams and beat the Bucks and get ready and go to Arizona and beat the Cardinals, I'm all for it. I'm all for chilling out and just letting it happen. But no one would know more about preseason than you, Bray. I do think you do need a couple of games. I do.